All right, so welcome to episode 3 of the Atlantic Strong podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Dickens, and tonight I've got Truro Strongman Dillon Fraser.
How's she going?
Oh, not too bad. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. Just surviving right now.
Yeah, same here. How have you been getting your training in?
Pretty. Not as much as I'd like, I'd say. I got, like, with the gyms closed, I got some dumbbells and stuff here. I got a yoke and farmers and some stones. I just recently got a bar, but I don't have the weights. I have to travel a further distance to train with, even with that stuff, because I live in an apartment building. So the the gyms being closed have not been kind to me.
When do you have somewhere close once they start to open up that you can go to?
Yeah, I go to the Good Life here in Truro, but depending on, because I already know there's a lot of people going to be wanting to go, I might branch off to one of the smaller gyms and see if they'll accommodate me and see if I can take some like equipment there, because where I'm at now, I can't overly bring a lot of stuff in because it's more commercial.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, let's start at the start. You're from Truro.
I'm actually from Shubenacadie.
Okay.
Yeah, just live in Truro here.
Right on. So, when did you start lifting, and what got you into strongman?
Um, I started lifting when I was in grade 10. I didn't know really much. I just thought most of stuff was like benching and like squatting and powerlifting stuff. I didn't know about this big open world of fitness when I first started. But what got me into strongman was I was telling some friends that what I could do on a leg press, which I know now, like you can do a hell of a lot on a leg press, and they didn't believe me. So, and then I told a couple other people, they're like, no, no. And then so I was just like, what else can I do to prove these people wrong? And that's how I kind of fell into strongman. I got a hold of Grant Connors, and I've been doing it ever since. I've been doing it now for, I think, 6 years I've been training.
How old are you now?
I'm 27, turning 28.
Okay, so you're 21, 22 when you started getting into strongman training.
Yeah, but I think it was 23. I started, like, that was the year when I turned 23. That was the year I started to like really train. But and then after that, now it's consumed my life. So
When did you do your first competition? When did you first compete?
it would have been 4. It'd be 4 years ago. Would be my first time doing provincials, and I was so nervous going into it. I had no idea. I did one training session with Grant and a couple of the other guys. No idea what I was doing, and I just went out there, did my best. I won one event, which was a 600-pound yoke run for 80 feet. And it was, if you go into my Instagram and go low enough, you'll find it. It is the most atrocious yoke walk or yoke run you'll ever see in your life. I don't know how I didn't drop it. The only thing that was going through my mind was, I don't want to pick it back up. I don't want to pick it back up. Like I was this way, this way. I don't know how I didn't drop it. And the guy, I blew 10 feet past the line because I didn't hear them say stop. But
My only thing is I'm only thinking not to pass out because I hold my breath like Rob Kearney.
yeah, it's same thing. Same thing. Like there's a lot of lifts I hold my breath with too. Farmers, like the first initial breath when you go down for farmers, I hold my breath until I get it back up, and I take about 1 or 2 steps, and then I take my first breath. Like some people will get it up, breathe, and then go. I usually take 1 or 2 steps before I breathe, and I know I shouldn't, but like you can't really help it in the moment, right?
Yeah. So you've been competing for, you said 4 years,
4 or 5 years, yeah.
4 or 5 years. How many competitions have you done total?
Ugh. So let's just say if there's a competition in Atlantic Canada, I have done it. Um, I don't. There's usually about 5 competitions a year, so I have maybe about around 20 some competitions under my
Wow.
belt so far. About that, it could be give or take a few, right? It's probably take a few, so I probably around 18. But I never really thought about how many competitions I've done. Wow, yeah,
Well, there's not like, in the run of a year, there's not really
no,
too many. There's if Renfrew does one at the start of the year, which they have the past 2 years, Atlantic Canada's Strongest Man, Pictou County Strongest Man, PEI Strongest Man, and then if that organization from Quebec does one, we're maybe up to 5 a year.
but then there's smaller ones too. Like you gotta really look for the smaller ones in Nova Scotia. Like there was one in Bridgewater. Bridgewater, last time it was put on, I won, and it's probably the best crowd Nova Scotia strongman competition because it's at the X grounds, right?
Yeah.
So, and there's like the stands are full. You got them going, and like, yeah. But Bridgewater was a really fun. So, but yeah, yeah. So about like if you can, I know like there's another competition hopefully planned for one in PEI called Strongtober. I heard a rumor of it, but whether what's going on right now, borders are lifted and they can do it. Hopefully,
Yeah.
it will happen.
See, with no governing body for this, it's hard to find the information.
Yeah,
Like
like
I never heard of a strongman competition in Bridgewater.
yeah, exactly. And
I
it's
just heard about Pictou County Strongest Man last year.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah, that wasn't the best competition. Me and it wasn't a good competition for me or Grant going into that last year. We were both kind of hurt going into it, and we both had really big competitions the next month. So we just like, okay, we'll just putter along. And we didn't even, I think I won one event and that's all she wrote for me. But but yeah, it's the smaller ones, like the smaller competitions for county wise. A lot of them happen during like the summer exhibitions and
Yeah.
like town days or whatever people call them. Um, you got to really look for them because there was a one even in Studiac I didn't even know of. I went to it and it was an all right little thing, but there was no big prize. But it's the little ones that you have to know people to get into, like not really know to get into, but like they're not well known.
Yeah.
And once you are in the group of strongmen, like you, as you know, like the strongman community now, that you have contacts in every single province, you know where these are, right?
Yeah.
Because as soon as one comes up, you're like, hey, you get the word out, you see if you can get enough people, and once you get enough people to compete, then you have a show.
Yeah. Like if Renfrew wasn't, pretty prolific with their social media, I would have never known last year
Yeah,
about the Strongman Open. And then I would have never known about this year's Strongman Open at the bike show.
yeah, and
I talked to RJ Forbes in the first episode. And he's heavy into Highland Games now, and that's kind of even more closed off where you have to know
And
people.
yeah, and that was the thing. Like that's actually what I thought I was going to get into back before I got in the strongman. I was like, how can I prove my strength? So I wanted to go compete in like Highland Games, and they said it's only by invite. And I'm like, what? So he's like, but there's an open farmers walk and this. I'm like, maybe I'll go to it. I never did go to it, but maybe when they open back up, maybe I'll go to the open and I'll pretend I don't know what I'm doing.
So Do you have any injuries right now? Have you been able to stay injury free with the coronavirus? I know I haven't been training as hard. I've actually been easing off a little bit of uh, healing up a couple of little injuries. It's kind of been nice actually.
Well, I actually got a small injury like right before that competition that we did together there at for the Renfrew second there,
Yeah,
and like my wrist, it was really hurting right before all this happened, and like I couldn't put a lot of pressure on it, and now it's fine, but there's something going on with my left shoulder now, and I don't know if it's a rotator cuff or if it's mobility issues. I've been working it out. It's a lot better than it was. It doesn't constantly hurt. That was really affecting me. That was going into that competition. I don't know how I did that press because that after the press, I was like, my shoulder hurts so much, but it somehow made it through it.
that press medley was strange. Like the axle press and the bar press
Yeah,
were kind
because
of out of place with how light they were.
yeah, like I don't. To me, it doesn't matter. Like they said, you can do whatever order you want, but it's always quick enough to go straight through.
Yeah,
Not like if you can't lift something and you know you can't, pick your things. But
that's what I did.
if you can lift things and you know you can lift them, but you know you have trouble with one thing, the better is just to run it through because you might not think you can lift it, and you go to lift it in competition, and it throws right up, right? But I found the hardest thing out of that whole thing was that straight bar. It was just the straight bar lift because usually you don't have straight bar in strongman,
Yeah,
right? Because it's only axle, log, dump. It's never you never have an actual Olympic bar in really in strongman doing like an overhead press
yeah.
that I've seen at least.
That was the first time I'd seen it.
But it's an extra lift, right? So they was like, well, we don't want to put. I completely understand that they don't want to put something a repeat of another log or something. So let's mix up the implements. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, and they wanted to probably have four implements just for a better showcase.
Yeah,
That event highlighted for me um, how little practice I'd had with the log and the dumbbell.
and I find that I don't I don't want to like destroy some people, and I'm not going to name names like with, but like you'll see with a lot of strongmen, like a lot of people neglect their pressing. They're really good on the lower half, but there's not like I know a lot of people like this. They've henceforth worked on it. Um, uh, their press wasn't as good as their lower game. Like their lower game was on point. Like their lower game is really good, and you thought it was like, oh wow, they're gonna throw their press up. I'm like, but their press doesn't go up as well as you thought it would.
Yeah,
But again, everybody's different. Some people are better at the lower game. Some people are better at pressing. Like I'm way better at pressing than I am at my lower game because I'm 6'4". It's as big people. It's kind of like we're slightly at a disadvantage when we go for the like deadlifts or like stuff like that, right?
yeah. I just I put the axle up easy and the straight bar up easy, and they were light relatively compared to the other things. And then I got to the log and the dumbbell and couldn't even clean either. And it wasn't even. I don't think it was a strength issue. It was just a practice issue.
Yeah,
Not having a log and a dumbbell available to me every week to
and
train.
that and that's the other thing too. Like a lot of like there's a lot of like not corporate gyms getting all these strongman equipments now, and I think that's really going to help with a lot of people's like if you know people, you could always get a log or a dumbbell
Yeah.
made, and that's the best way to get it because that's the cheapest way you're going to get a log or a dumbbell is getting someone you know to make it because you're going to be paying $500+ for these things that are going to be shipped to you, right?
Oh yeah, that company in Ontario, Northern Warrior, I think it is. Their logs are in the $500-600. That's even before shipping.
Yeah, Like they have one log on there, and I think it was like $700 or $800,
That's crazy.
and like yeah, it's but again like not too many people, and his logs are made of wood too, so you won't find too many of those around because most people use steel logs, so it's not you drop it, it's not going to worry about it. But
Yeah.
it I've seen his logs, and Prime Strength Club I do believe has one, and
Yeah, they
I'm
do.
I'm excited to go down and press it because I'd like to see how it turns out.
Yeah, I ended up buying the all the plan blueprints off of Starting Strongman. So
Oh yeah,
I'm just waiting for everything to get back up and running, and then a buddy of mine is going to build a few things for me.
yeah.
But in St. John right now, steel's kind of hard to come by for cheap.
Oh, like the price of just weights alone right now. Like I don't know if they're doing that just because it's like supply and demand, or oh, excuse me, but $2.50 a pound is robbery.
Oh, it's wild. And I mean,
Oh
in a month's time, when all the gyms are back open, everything's going
yeah,
to be back down to a buck a pound or less.
yeah, and the people like I understand like it's like yeah you want to make some money and stuff, but like I saw, those old plastic York plates and stuff, the really the concrete looking things.
Yeah,
I saw two 25 pounds going for $100 on Kijiji.
that's crazy.
Like, and I almost wanted to message like, "This is a bloody ripoff. You should be ashamed of yourself. What are you doing?" I'm like, "You're like these are old weights. They shouldn't be going for this much money."
Yeah,
And if they like, I could understand if they were Olympic. I'd understand paying $100, $2 a pound during because you can't no like yeah I understand that, but those York style plates with
yeah,
the
the
not
old
this yeah no
the Sears wish book set.
exactly right.
So, talk us through like if the gyms were open and it's right now is the off season or leading up to the strongman season.
Oh yeah, I would have been full in swing training right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Walk us through what a normal week of training would be for you, if life was normal right now.
if life was normal, I have 2 days off a week, so it's usually a Monday and a Wednesday, or if it's not Wednesday, it's a Thursday. I usually have 2 days off a week. I never have my days off on a weekend because there's so much freedom to get to the gym. Um, so I'd usually start my week out with legs. Everybody does. Like National Chest Monday now. I start out with legs. Then that way I have that right day after. So if I'm off Monday, that means Tuesday is legs, and then I'm off again on Wednesday. So I have that little bit of a recovery time because I really hit legs hard. And if I have time at the end of my workout, I'll throw some back in because do back right after I come back on that Thursday, and then I do accessories, and then I'll do shoulders and pressing, and then whatever I haven't hit. So sometimes I'll throw in an extra event day. So I'll go down to Renfrew, I'll do yoke, farmers, stones, whatever. But usually I stick with legs, shoulders, accessories. Um, I don't do much chest because chest is kind of an accessory in strongman. You're not benching, right? Like you're still doing incline, like kind of for log and stuff, but there's no really outward pushing. Like it would help with tire and stuff, but really it's an accessory in strongman. It's not a massive deal to have a massive chest in strongman. But that's about the rundown of my week. But the food, like I'd be eating anywhere from 5 to 7 meals a day, anywhere from 5 to 6 to 7,000 calories. Like,
Yeah, for anybody that's listening on audio or is going to end up listening on audio only or doesn't know Dylan, he's a pretty big guy. 6'4", 300 pounds. As
Yeah,
as far as around here, you're one of the taller competitors.
yeah. I think the only other people that are taller than me are the Kinches, and they're in PEI,
Yeah.
Mitch and George Kinch. I think those are the only two that are taller than me, and they're not much taller than me. I think they're maybe 1 or 2 inches taller than me. I think Mitch is 6'6", so and George is 6'5" or 6'6" too. But yeah, but those are the tallest competitors, and I haven't, and I don't even think Mitch competed last year. Oh yes, he did. Yeah, he competed in one or two of them. But
So do you just follow your own nutrition plan, or
I was for a long time. Last year I had a really big problem gaining weight. Like I was stuck at 280, 284 for I don't know how long, 3 or 4 months, and I was eating, training. Like to people that don't know strongman, eating that much and training, and you're not gaining weight, like that's how hard you're pushing your body, because your body naturally burns anywhere from 2,500 calories a day. I think it's like that, around that, and then you add intense heavy lifting on top of that with conditioning, cardio, all that stuff.
yeah, especially if you're doing 2 event days a week.
Oh yeah, like yeah. And I would just I'd start my day out with uh like just anything I could get a hold of was with my diet. And then I finally got a hold of a nutritionist, and within a week I gained 2 pounds. Like she listed everything out. Like it was on a lot more on the healthier side, like because like I love what she did, and it works. It's healthy. It's easy to follow. And she gave me my workout days and my not workout days. She's like, you need to eat this. You have to consume this before and after you work out. But it was so expensive eating healthier style foods and less sugars and stuff, because strongman, it's all about the calorie intake. And unfortunately, it wasn't. I think I followed it for a month, and I thanked her very much. And I did pay for it, and I was like, this really works, but it's just not for me because I have to eat so much.
Yeah, it's when you start to kind of process foods and things like that, and cheaper cuts of meat, and uh,
Yeah,
in the quantities that you have to eat them to train and compete at a high level, it's just not accessible for a lot of people.
no, and people are like, "You're what do you eat?" I'm like this, and they're like, "No." I was like, "Yeah, I don't do anything else in my life." I was like, "I go to the gym, I go to work." I was like, "I don't do anything else because I can't afford to, because I pretty much work to eat."
Yeah,
Because you have to, if you don't consume those calories, then why are you even doing it?
yeah.
You're just you're just pretty much good. You're never going to achieve a higher status in strongman unless you kick it up a notch and eat more, train harder.
So what is your favorite event?
My favorite event, it used to be yoke. My favorite event is log. I love log. I don't know why. Like I somehow just naturally good at pressing, just because I have a bigger upper body, uh, and I was good at. And I just like the fact, like you just you roll it up, and you're sitting there, and it's just get it up. I just love the log, and it's one of my better ones, as I said.
Yeah,
But if it wasn't going to be log, it'd be tire flip,
yeah,
because well, you saw me at the tire flip in the last competition.
yeah. That's my favorite right now too. But it's just because I'm the best at it, or
Yeah,
that's the event right now that I'm the best at. I
Yeah.
mean, I think I only came 2 or 3 seconds after you.
Yeah. And we actually had to rewatch your video, I remember, because they actually mixed it up.
Yeah, so I think what happened was when Grant called the time to the table, he said 58, but it was
Oh,
38. So it was 38,
okay.
and he said 58. So when I went back to my family and friends that were watching, I said, yeah, and I said, oh, I even had a couple seconds to spare on the tire because it was a 60-second limit.
Yeah.
And one of the guys said, couple seconds to spare. He's like, I think you came in first. It was second to you, but I think you came in first, actually. I said, no. They said he called the 10-second warning when I was on my last flip. Like, no, something's wrong. So he showed me on the video, and luckily it timestamp on the video where we could we could pinpoint
And
where the clock
that's
was started and where it ended, and it wasn't 58 seconds, it was 38 seconds.
yeah, and that's what happened with me in Picto one year. Someone videoing, it was actually my girlfriend. She was videoing. She came up to me afterwards. I'm like, "You won that event." I'm like, "No, I tied for this." She's like, "No, you got 8." We watched the video back, and I actually had I had 8 reps on the log, and I wouldn't have known if someone wasn't filming. So
Yeah.
anybody who is getting into strongman or any type of sport, have someone filming, because that can determine whether you win or not by
Yeah.
that one point.
Yeah. People make mistakes. It happens. There's communication breakdown in between the guy timing and the head table and what
Yeah,
gets put in on the computer. And that's what happened to me in that tire flip because
yeah.
I knew when I was done that I'd smoked it.
Oh yeah. Like when after I think I went before you, or
Yeah.
no, yes, yeah, you did go before me, or no, I went before you, and I was like, okay, and then I saw you go. I'm like, that was quick. That was quick. And
Yeah.
then
I
they
think it
showed
was
the
maybe 1 or 2 seconds behind you.
I think I was at 36, and I think you were at either 38 or 39.
38. Yeah.
Like it was pretty close. And you would be surprised when I was in Regina last year for nationals. There's a tire flip for 80 feet, 800-pound tire flip for 80 feet, and it was the third event. Let me tell you, wow, a lot of people had trouble with that.
Yeah.
Like no one finished it. I won, and I was short, I think, 4 feet.
Wow.
By the time that last flip, I was like, "How much time?" He's like, 5 seconds. I was like, just walked away.
So if log is your favorite event right now, what is your least favorite event? What is the event that you see on a schedule that you're dreading to do?
Deadlift, deadlift, just hands down deadlift. Just because, as I said, I'm not the best deadlifter. Like if it's a load medley or if it's a press or anything moving, like I can keep up. But deadlift, I was like, uh, I'll just reference last year at nationals was 635 for reps. Like I know a buddy of mine, Chris Davies, he ripped out I think 11 or 12 reps in 60 seconds or some crazy like that. He was just a beast, and I went into it like I know what I can lift, and I was like I'd be happy with one because 635 was at that time my PR, and I had only ever lifted it once. So I went up to it. I was like, just one. I was like, I just want one, and I got one, and I was happy. Like I tried for some more, but I took a good 20 seconds breather and tried again. Didn't get it.
Yeah.
But deadlift, it would be the thing on like the on the event list that I would say, okay, I can do the press, I can do this. Is like deadlift. What's the weight? Got to work at that. Or if it's a truck deadlift or car deadlift, it's a little easier, but deadlift usually for me.
Right on. Yeah, I don't know if I haven't competed enough to have a least favorite my least favorite lift right now. I mean, at the level, at the open level right now in Atlantic Canada, my overhead press isn't as strong as you or Joe or Shane. Actually, Shane's a wicked presser.
Shane is a wicked presser, but he just needs to work on a little bit on of his like if he on his cardio with it. Like I don't like he's an awesome deadlifter. He's a good presser when it comes to it, but he'll go to press. I think he'll get inside of his head sometimes. Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But like he could kick my ass any day at a deadlift. I guarantee you that I cannot keep up with him at all. But he actually, from when I first met him to now, his press has gone up immensely. Like he's now, as you said, one of the better pressers in Atlantic Canada. Like a few years ago, it was like, oh, this monster of a deadlift. But his press wasn't up to par to what it is now. Like his press is a lot better now.
Oh yeah, he was posting some wicked lifts leading up to the Renfrew Open this year.
And I saw that, and I'm like, oh, and I was watching it, and I was like, oh, look at this. But if take away like the press medley, like take away the medley, if that was a 300-pound log jump, he would have got that instantly.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. But
yeah, that was a fun competition.
It was.
That was there was only four. So we did the second annual Renfrew Strongman Open. We did it at the start of March, at the bike show in Halifax, and there was only 4 of us signed up for the men's open.
Yeah.
Me, Dylan, Shane Gallant, and Joey Lavallee.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
It was. I was not ready for that competition. Like I woke up that morning, I'm like, I really don't want to. I got there, Joey got there, and we just looked at each other, shook our heads. I'm like, oh, because most competitions are like a little later in the day sometimes, right?
Yeah.
It's not too often that you'll have to get up for a really early one, unless it's like Atlantic Canada's Strongest Man, and even then, it's not long. It's just that was the drive down, because we had to get up early and all that stuff. We were just not feeling it.
Yeah, I was lucky enough to stay down in Dartmouth the night before. Yeah, I think we started lifting at 9:00. I always gauge competitions now at the end time. If it was a quick competition, it was good. If it was a long competition, it was bad, because you do like provincials or Eastern Canada and powerlifting, and you're there like 10 hours.
Oh yeah,
That's
like
brutal.
I've been to 2 powerlifting competitions, and unless I am training somebody or I am asked to come, I probably won't go to another one, because honestly, nothing against it. It is effing boring.
Yeah.
For a spectator's point of view, it is very boring, because you watch how many umpteen dozen people come up for a squat, take a break. Umpteen dozen people go for a bench. A lot of people just do bench, then it's on to the deadlift, and you're there so long. Like Renfrew last year, when they did their last powerlifting meet, it went so quick, and I was like, this is going really quick, like compared to the year before. I'm like, you guys are going to be done by 4:00. He's like, yeah, I know. Like, I think they were done around 5. I left after I was filming for someone. After they were done everything, I left. But yeah, they were done fairly quickly after I left.
Yeah, I did my first powerlifting competition was New Brunswick and Nova Scotia provincials in Halifax, and we were told to be there at say 11:00 in the morning. We didn't leave the CrossFit gym in Halifax until 10 that night. Like, I showed up at 11 in the morning. Everything was running late. Didn't start lifting until 1. 3 flights of 14 lifters and the bench only. It's yeah, you really got to love powerlifting to do powerlifting competitions
Yeah,
because
but also you like I commemorate powerlifters because you guys they focus on those lifts and your own you're in like even in deadlift because there's deadlift strong you're in your own head and you're against yourself.
yeah,
You go for your numbers that you want in powerlifting, which is awesome because you're like, I want these. You have a self goal, you go for it.
yeah. We I talked to Drew Carlton last week, who has been training a lot of novice powerlifters and taking them to competitions. And you know, powerlifting by nature is it's inherently inclusive. You pick your own weight class, you pick
Yep.
your own gender class, your own age class, you pick your own numbers, and you just kind of do your thing. Whereas strongman is
I'm fine.
is
I'm
inherently exclusive
I'm finding strongman is starting to get into that though
with classes.
with classes
Yeah,
because before it was a couple years, even I remember you went in there was no weight classes. You went in except for in provincials. You went in if you did try to do it, and if you couldn't.
yeah,
There was no weight classes, and you knew like a not like I kind of like the thought of weight classes in some other thing in the kind of the in the sport because it gives the novice people and the lighter weight people a chance to see like I don't praise myself like see like Joey or Grant. You see how far you can go with training and how far you can go with your lifting by just even seeing those guys lift. You're like, if you're just starting out, you're looking up to these guys, and eventually, like in a few years, if you're really dedicated, you could be competing alongside them, right?
yeah. But it would be different now. But it would be different if you had no chance to compete at all. You
Yes,
know, if you were a
true.
novice or a lighter weight guy or a woman, and you had no chance. 10 years ago, you had no chance to compete at all. It was open men, and that was it.
Yeah,
Now they've got novice, which last year I did the Renfrew Strongman Open, did the novice. It was awesome. Novice, heavyweight, lightweight, women's classes. The sport is becoming more accessible.
exactly. And I like that in the fact that it brings a lot more attention. Like a lot of people, I was actually talking to a powerlifter last year, and he was describing what these stones were. And I'm like, those are Atlas stones. And he's like, yeah, you got to be like this to be a strong. You got to be over 6 feet tall. You got. It was like, no, you don't. Strongman is now class, so you can. And he didn't understand. He's like, what do you mean? It's like just like powerlifting. You have now classes. You have weight classes you can do.
Yeah, and it's great because as the sport is moving more to inclusivity with the weight classes, and way more women are into it now than ever have been.
Oh yeah,
Way more lighter weight people are into it more than ever have been. As they're becoming more inclusive on the top end, the open men is getting just absolutely bonkers.
yeah,
Like it's what the guys are doing at the highest level is unbelievably ridiculous.
yeah.
And
And like,
now there's so many more eyes on it.
yeah. And if you go back even 10 years, 10 or so years, probably a little further than that, probably early 2000s. The weight that you and I are doing right now, like with opens, that's world stuff back then. That
Yeah.
would, like, if we went back in time, we would be some of the strongest men on the planet. Right now, we're not even on the radar of anything
Yeah.
because the weights are so out of control. It's always how far can you push the limit? How much one more pound you can do. Oh,
Yeah.
I can lift one more pound than him. Like it's
Speaking of the highest level, the international competitors, who's your favorite guy to watch right now?
my favorite guy to watch right now. was obvious. It would be Hafthor Bjornsson, just because his lead up to his deadlift was insane.
It was
And
crazy. And
oh
he puts the time into the videos.
yeah,
And it's probably something that, that's not something that everybody even on that level can afford to do, have kind of these professionally made, YouTube videos and all this stuff, because he does do, Game of Thrones and all that.
yeah,
But the way he was able to share and detail all these things leading up to the deadlift was, I think, put more eyes on it for sure.
yeah. And like this, I never knew how much controversy there was about this lift until I actually a few days out. I'm like, wow, there's a lot of this is like big drama in our world, because to us like lifters, I'm like, this is our world, but it's amazing how many other people was like, who's that? I'm like, exactly. But to us, it's so exciting because there's such a big drama happening between Hall and Thor right now. It's pretty crazy.
Um, yeah, yeah. I mean, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where, if you want to say it was a record or not. He
To,
he
to
deadlifted 501 on camera with a
yeah,
judge, and you can say that Eddie still has the world record. That's great, but even if it was a world
yeah,
record, you have to put an asterisk beside it and say, yeah, but Thor did 501 on the same bar with the same plates in the same suit with a judge on camera. They weighed the plates.
to
He's
me,
he's the
it was a
best.
record. It was
It's
a
the best.
record to me.
I mean, Benedict Magnuson is still the GOAT, but because he did 10-16 with no suit and no straps, but 501 is pretty impressive too.
Yeah. Oh
It's
man,
gonna get some people going.
that will get some people going a
My
little bit.
my favorite guy to watch right now is Tom Stoltman.
Yeah,
He's only 26 or 27 years old.
yeah, and
He's not
like
even close to his peak.
no, and that's like everybody was like telling me, it was like, oh, you're not near your peak, you're still just young. And I look at these guys that are on the world stage at my age right now, and I'm like, yeah, I'm
On
not
on
reached.
on the flip side, you look at his brother, Luke Stoltman. He's like 37.
Yeah,
He didn't hit these numbers until a couple of years ago.
yeah,
He didn't
and that,
really hit this stride of being a high level international competitor until 2 years ago.
yeah, like I remember a couple of years ago seeing him doing stones, watching his videos doing stones, and he always kept saying, going for that unofficial record of trying to beat Brian Shaw's stone, and he lifted it unofficially at his wherever it was, and I was like, this guy's gonna be big, and here he is now, just doing his thing, and now he has. They did the record there for the stone, I
Yeah, I
think
think it
last week.
was 286 kilos.
Yeah,
So 628, I think, somewhere around there. And he's saying that he's gonna attempt a 300 kilo stone shortly. And his brother, Luke Stoltman, was that close to locking out 230 kilos, which is what 230 times 2.2, 506-pound log. It's insane.
yeah, like the log weights from now into even a few years ago, like Saviscus still holds it. Uh, and to me, Saviscus will always be number one. I don't. There will be many people come in, take records and stuff, but Sadrunas Saviscus, if you don't know in strongman, he's from no,
Lithuania.
okay. I didn't want to butcher the pronunciation, and he has his own room for trophies. dozens upon dozens of records. 4-time strongest man.
8-time Arnold Strongman
Eight-time
Classic winner.
Arnold Strongman Classic. Like, no
He's
matter,
the best of all time.
yeah, and there'll never be another Savickas because he held so many records. And I wish, like, I messaged him one time, I think after my first competition, and he actually answered me back, and
Really?
I was just losing my collective shit. He's like, "Good job, keep it going." I'm like, just even the fact that the acknowledgement was there, like
Yeah.
it just like I just like was like, I want to get to the gym and lift some shit.
Well, I think that's a good place to stop.
Yeah.
You've got sponsors. Do you want to shout out sponsors?
Yeah, currently this year right now I'm sponsored by Stanfield's Limited, sponsored by Scott's Bakery here in Truro and Kemptown, Truro Buzz, Pro TX Services in Elmsdale. They help with massage therapy, and they do the Atlantic Canada's Strongest Man too. And I have Truro KFC is one of my sponsors, and I'm always up for some more.
Right on. Well, this has been the third episode of the Atlantic Strong podcast with Truro Strongman Dillon Fraser, and we're gonna sign off now.